Okay, let's try this. I'm going to do this for a friend. Now she has... Now I'm not going to be in her operation. I merely think she seems to be, I need to test her a bit first, but she seems to be a superb, she's not really the next generation to me, but she seems to be the real thing, a super intelligent, genuine warrior for justice. She said she wanted to put something about me on some internet sites that she has things to do with. Now, first of all, my brain's always at its best when I walk a lot. In fact, see, she said she wanted to do it for people that she supports. Bizarrely, that's kind of the first thing I would say to you. Your body has to be in quite good condition if possible. I've never played sport in my life, ever. Okay, I have lived in the hills for almost all the last 32 years. But to fight the system or just persist, I'm a word person. I don't even use the word resilience. Even that is too dramatic. Because if you're having to fight the system in what other way, or survive, I don't use the word survivor either, just persist. Or when I've known people who've had the worst of things done to them, okay? If you're going to persist through either battling the system, or if you fail and the worst things end up being long-term reality, I would seriously recommend you to keep with a physical thing like walking. No, I didn't say go to the gym, because in the gym you're constantly distracted by music and other people. Furthermore, you are showing off there. And just a lot of walking. And you don't have to come up to the hills. You can find places, or it's ideally got to be a bit steep as well. And I'm fucking fit, because I just walk about 50 kilometers a week. But yeah, you've got to be in good nick to fight your cases. You've also got to have a bit of fun. If you see Helen Steele was nearly destroyed, you can see this in the film McLibel, because they pile on paperwork, they pile on this, that and the other. She asked the judge about halfway through, could she have a week off, because she was emotionally exhausted, and the cunt said no, because they love it, they just want to torture you. And there's no such thing as definite justice in this country. But to persist, if you're doing a long court case or whatever, you've got to have a bit of a kind of way out, you've got to have a bit of a safety valve or whatever. So something like walking is really good, but if you're doing quite a lot of exercise at the same time. Right, to the point. Yeah, so, you see, she strikes me as somebody who really, I think she just might be a little bit intense about it, because you've got to sit back, kick your feet up. Now, obviously, I'm speaking figure of speech, and the way you write good stuff into courts to beat them or have a chance is if they can tell that you're philosophical. Kill me if you want. I've read the Camus book, The Stranger. Very good film. The new version is very good. It's a bit silly towards the end. You know, you don't want to end up in the pickle he did. But it's like, you've got to be able to just be a bit... If the judge sees you come in, this is the most important thing of all. You see? I think I've made videos about this in the past. You've got to walk into a courtroom with your tits out, your shoulders back, your chin up, not coming over as over arrogant or anything. In other words, and not being too full of self-belief, but just going in there saying, I believe in myself. Even if I lose today, you're making up the case or the reasons for me losing, or this evil social worker, or this evil this. And Britain really is a very good... I'm not going to waffle on, because I hardly have any battery. But I spend a lot of time in Europe, and I'm basically emotionally and intellectually, and just at a kind of ordinary human level, I connect much better with Europeans And I was listening to a travelling European man who's basically English, but he's Cyprus born, and he's done a lot of travelling. And he was talking in a little video about something, and his girlfriend does the videos about travelling and all that. And he said, and he's just totally English really, he said, God, I've really noticed the great big difference between Europe and Britain is that in Britain, everybody wants to tell tales on each other. Find some reason to damn someone else. And I do believe that Britain certainly is the false allegation centre of Europe. I don't know if we're equal with America. Anyway, it's all getting a little bit too... But like I said, the most important thing of all is your body language. And even if you have to slightly fake it, generally, if you're faking it, you can be seen through. So the way you get your body language, a lot of walking and just pondering, and also always have a phone recorder with you or a dictaphone or something, because you never know, you might be walking and maybe you have got a case and suddenly something comes to your mind. Maybe I haven't said that actually in the courtroom and need to. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about technique, but so there's two things. So how can I haven't rehearsed this, I don't know what I'm going to say, really. The first thing is, well, you've got to know for sure you love your kid. Now, I was lucky, I knew for sure, as of when she was born, but certainly a couple of years later when the two parents are separated, and what I would do with my kid, I've always lived all over Europe, and I'm not rich, I've never had, as an adult, more than most of the time, almost all the time, never more than £1,000 in my bank account, and like at the most 5 or 10. But anyway, to the point. I would just go around Europe with my kid, and like with a cheap pushchair, and just like going to little places with her and showing her Europe. And I certainly realised even then, not the year 2000. I think we went on our first trip later that year. And you can rough it with kids. I even took her to Morocco and Tunisia. Not posh hotels, the cheapest, really one-star hotels. I just realised I wouldn't want to be doing anything else than being anywhere with my kid. So that's the first thing that really helps. If you know for certain, because you see, I've done quite a lot of what they call this Mackenzie friending thing. Not many people actually, in truth, have told me the stories of how they love their kid. Yes, they do. But you've got to remember, you've got to tell yourself the stories of you loving your kid. Because that is the one thing. Now, as of 2003, I faced the most impossible. Okay, it was in theory, it started with a silly criminal matter, and I couldn't even get a lawyer, despite being TV famous, because I was in the middle of Wales, and it's just this. Anyway, I pleaded guilty because I just couldn't get a lawyer, and the barrister wouldn't even come in and do a briefing before. It's like, what? Keep to the point. But it's the best thing that ever happened, because it's like I probably wouldn't have actually, even though my daughter lived with me, standard family court situation 2002, gradually it probably wouldn't have gone my way. But so here's the point. I won the unwinnable case. I mean, when you have a criminal thing in your past, you haven't seen your kid for 9 months, you don't even get access. Now, within 2 months of getting back into court, and this is not because I'm some man, it's not because I had a good lawyer, I didn't have a lawyer, okay? I had no knowledge of the law, nothing, zero. I was on the ultimate back foot. All I had one thing, which is that I'd done a bit of TV, but I was fucking petrified. I had 6 hellish months of, without having had a parking ticket for many years, even, I got arrested by some drunk Portuguese cop at gunpoint, out of the blue, okay? No lawyer, ended up in a weird little prison, because they basically didn't have bail in Portugal. I was just like in the ultimate hall of mirrors. And after about 2 months, I did phoning a lawyer on the phone who ripped me off all my money on my credit card. It never did anything, but he said, Simon, because I'd phoned the Guardian up, just like I was bored, and they wanted to talk to me. But you see, there was news coverage of what had happened to me back home, and he said, Simon, you've got a choice. It says, if you carry on talking to the media, they will, the authorities in one way or another, they will try and totally crucify you. Crucify you. Right, remember this phone call? And I didn't know anything about the law, I didn't know anything about the system, and all I knew is that for me to get to this phone in this lovely little Portuguese jail with these just lovely men. I didn't like men prior to, I don't mean homosexually, I mean, I kind of didn't really like men very much, like I'm not sporty or anything, just these guys, they had such beautiful hearts, but in our little jail there was 100, and it was the hottest ever summer in Portugal, 2003. People were actually dying, and the authorities were pretty good, but there was one phone only, and you'd probably have to queue for half an hour, and there was no problem. There was nice people, you'd have a good chat, you'd have a laugh, but it's like, yeah, so to get to this phone was just such a nightmare anyway. But it's like, if you talk to the media, you'll get crucified. And I just said to him, there is no choice, meaning I shall carry on talking to the media. Anyway, it just so happened, although in all those 6 months, I probably only had a couple of sleepless nights. But I did 5 months, basically was on remand. But anyway, I got released, and there were 3 television cameras waiting for me late 2003. And I did 3 really good interviews. I think they were kind of national. Probably one of them will have been Channel 4, which is the Welsh version. But anyway, whatever. Blah, blah. Yeah. I was shy. And for a couple of weeks, I couldn't sleep. For the first time, I went into terrible, because I couldn't speak in public. I couldn't talk on television. I didn't have a television, actually. The thought, I was so horrified at talking on television. Now, within about 6 months, I became a total fucking TV whore. I started to really enjoy it. Thanks to the wonderful Karen Griggs of ITN, who would cover me and come to see me fairly often with her cameraman Greg. But they were great fun. Anyway, here's the point. That was the only thing I had going for me going into the court. The judge literally said, "Oh, we got our celebrities here today," and that kind of was actually important. But anyway, I fought this impossible case, took risks, and I won it. Anybody can. I had nothing. I was on such the back foot. Okay? And then from 2005, the judge stupidly left this ridiculous High Court injunction in place, which was just absurd. But everybody in the whole of the justice system, the campaigners, I said, look, okay, the case is ended, it's all brilliant, but he's left this bloody High Court injunction. I should do something. And everybody said, the great people from Families Need Fathers, women and men used to do them, and a few other campaigners and some real legal experts who were against the system said, Simon, you're mad. Nobody's ever challenged Section 37 of the Children's Act thing. You're mad, okay? There actually were quite, I actually really did feel totally alone, and I actually felt that I'd lost some friendships that I'd developed over the year from 2003, late 2003 to 2005. But I decided, and I felt stupid. Okay, I wasn't actually in danger. The appeal court was never going to take away my kid or anything. But I felt stupid. But I did it. And this was just this. So it's almost an abstract test case, Clayton v. Clayton, because it's not about me, really. It didn't matter. I'd already kind of got my story out. I don't really... Anyway, but here's the point, okay? Well, me and her, we're going to talk about what's the best kind of way of putting this, but I'll get to the next bit. So I had, 7 or 8 magical years in many ways, but then from 2010 I entered hell on earth, and nobody could do anything to me. but they all took revenge. And I had years of almost only pain. But I tell you now, and I've nothing. If I drop dead today, probably my daughter won't even come to when they chuck me into the compost heap. I have nothing. I have literally nothing. No achievement by it, but I wouldn't have any 1 second any other way. That's all I can say. But you've got to fight with grace. It's got to be funny as well. And don't take it personally. And don't make it personally either.